everybody. You're tuned into another episode of the Flea Flicker Show. We are your hosts. I am Fred. That is Dre. If you haven't noticed, we have our names on the little left-hand corner. So it's pretty obvious who's who. But we drop new episodes every Wednesday and Friday in the NFL season. At least we try to. Try to hold us to it. So make sure to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on social media at Flea Flicker Show. Dre, tell them what we got going on this week.
Dude, this is the this is the week 17 recap show, baby. This is it's the second to last week of the freaking NFL season. We're already at the end, but this week had some wild and crazy games that we're gonna get to, and it got ever so close to giving us all of the playoff teams, but there's so many still active. Week 18 is gonna be awesome too. It's gonna be great. But before we get into that, we want to talk about some of the teams that clinched or got eliminated from the playoffs. We're gonna hit up the NFL Hall of Fame finalists because that came out. We're going to hit up the college football playoffs. That's big news. Whether you liked it or not, we're going to talk about it. And a few other notations in there too. So I'm pretty pumped for this episode.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. It was a fun weekend. Even though some of the results aren't what we would have liked, it was a fun weekend.
Yeah, Fred, you had a bad week.
Let's get into it.
In football,
kind of. I won our fantasy championship. So
that's fair. That's fair. You did have something
by I think it was 0.28 points that I won the fantasy championship, which is pretty wild.
Our record for this week turned out to be me 10-6, you 11-5. You're on fire in the finals, which is what you needed.
Creeping.
You're only 2 games behind me now going into the last freaking week. So
yeah, I was 6 games behind 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you're making the right picks to finish it out. So it'll be fun to see what happens next week. But let's hit up some of these teams that clinched the playoffs or just clinched different spots. So both of the number 1 seeds have been clinched. That was pretty wild. I don't think that usually happens before the last week of the season, but the Ravens and the 49ers are the number 1 seeds. They're getting the playoff bye during the wild card week, so we're not going to see them until the divisional round. That'll be fun. We'll talk about if they're going to sit their players or not next week, but the Chiefs, they locked themselves into the number 3 spot in the AFC. Good for them. They're very unimpressive though. We'll get to them. The Brownies I believe they clinched the number 5 seed. They at least clinched a playoff spot, but I think they did clinch the number 5 seed. It's good for them. And then the Rams also clinched a playoff spot. They'll be either, I think, the 6th or 7th seed in the NFC. So
yeah. Those teams that might be sitting their players are going to be very impactful.
Yeah, it's going to be really impactful for who they're playing as well, because some of those teams that could be sitting players are playing teams that are still fighting to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that next week for sure. But let's get into some other stuff. I wanted to hit up the Browns real quick. This stat kind of threw me for a loop. The Browns quarterback room right now has 0 active players from their preseason quarterback squad. How crazy is that, man?
That's insane.
They had 4 players on the preseason squad. They had Deshaun Watson, who's on IR. They had Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's on IR. They had PJ Walker. No, sorry. They didn't have PJ Walker. PJ was on the Bears. They had Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs was on the Browns preseason squad, and they traded him to the Cardinals. And then the 4th guy, I can't even remember his name, but he got cut. And I thought that was crazy. Like 0 of them made it through the season. How often do you get that? And they're a playoff squad. That's crazy. But
yeah, Joe Flacco is like playing like the greatest quarterback of all time right now. Like,
yeah, I wanted to hit you with a question. I don't think this will happen. That'd be absolutely insane if it did. But just bear with me. If Joe Flacco somehow manages to get this Browns team to win the Super Bowl, I know that's crazy talk. But if they did, do you think Joe Flacco would have a case for the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't think he had much.
I'm not even like. There's no hesitation there. Like, yes, he would. And he has a Super Bowl with the Ravens. He would now have one with the divisional rival Browns. And coming in at how old is he? Like 37.
I think he's 38.
Yeah, like coming in at his age, with his lack of mobility in today's NFL and just falling asleep on the sidelines, like, it's a pretty great story. And honestly, like if he won the Super Bowl, 1000% be a movie made about it.
You're probably right. Wow, who would play Joe Flacco? That'd be
Ben
interesting.
Affleck.
Joe Flacco plays himself.
Honestly,
Ben
I
Affleck,
could
though.
see, what's the guy from Shazam, who played
I
Kurt
don't know his
Warner?
name. Oh, he played Kurt Warner.
Yeah, Levi.
Uh,
I think it's
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
his
yeah.
name.
Well, yeah, I think he'd be pretty decent. I think it looks kind of like him, but he already played Kurt Warner, so I don't know if you want to have him
Yeah,
play another quarterback. And he kind of looks like Kurt Warner, but
Ben
I don't know. You could
Affleck's
find a guy.
hilarious.
It's kind of just like a generic white guy face.
Yeah, pretty much. Just give him a beard with some salt and pepper,
Yeah.
and he's got it. Yeah. But yeah, Joe Flacco, great story. Next, I want to hit up the NFL Hall of Fame finalists. The final 15 were announced, and I just want to hit it up real quick. I know nobody really cares too much, but the 15 guys. So Willie Anderson, Antonio Gates, he's obviously locked in. Andre Johnson, Devin Hester, I hope he makes it. Julius Peppers, I think he's locked in. Eric Allen, the old man. Reggie Wayne, he could get in. Jared Allen, he could get in. Rodney Harrison. I mean, any of these guys could get in, realistically.
Yeah.
Dwight Freeney, Jahri Evans, the Saints guard from back in the day. Torrey Holt, I don't know why he's not in yet. Darren Woodson. Fred Taylor made it, the Jags old running back. That one surprised me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And Patrick Willis, who should already be in. He was a monster. But one notable miss from that group, no Steve Smith still. I don't understand.
I don't know. Steve
Was
Smith,
possibly the
Steve Smith was
greatest
so
Panthers
good.
receiver ever. He was so fun to watch. He was always a beast, and he's been available for 2 years, and he hasn't made the finalists yet. I don't understand that.
Wow. Yeah, I'd have to imagine at some point he's going to get in, but that's pretty surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because they have a bunch of receivers already, they decided to leave him out, but it's just crazy. They got Andre Johnson, Torrey Holt, and Reggie Wayne ahead of him, I guess. I just don't get that. I don't know. I guess I'm just a big Steve Smith fan. Whatever.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All those names are definitely deserving of the spots they're in. So it'll be interesting who they take. I mean, there's a few in there that should, without a doubt, be in. Patrick Willis, Antonio Gates. They should be a shoo-in to get in, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah. One other note. I said Eric Allen. I think this could be Eric Allen's last year of eligibility, so they might try to push him through. But yeah, Hall of Fame.
I think a lot of times too, they like to put in people that like star weapons for other Hall of Fame players. So like Hall of Fame quarterbacks, they like to put in their stars also in there. Peyton Manning being in the Hall of Fame, you might see some of his little running mates there. Dwight Freeney,
Reggie Wayne.
You might see Reggie Wayne, because of that notoriety with Peyton Manning.
I was so sure that they were going to put Reggie and Peyton in the same year. I was shocked when they didn't, because that would have been a great storyline, having them both up on the podium talking, hugging it out and stuff with their gold jackets together.
It's two best buds.
Anyway, that's the Hall of Fame. I wanted to hit a Broncos note real quick. I feel like everyone has heard of this by now, but if you haven't, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson have hit a breaking point, I believe, on this team. Do you remember what the story that I sent to you was?
He's on Instagram, right? Yeah, I actually pulled up right now. So, Broncos told Russell Wilson to adjust his contract or be benched. Wilson said after he helped the Broncos to their first win over the Chiefs since 2015, he was approached to adjust a salary guarantee in his contract, and if he didn't, he would be benched for the rest of the year.
This is crazy, man. First of all, Russell Wilson, what a rise from last year, because he was like the laughing stock of the NFL last year with all his commercials and his poor play and everything. And then this year, it's like Sean Payton comes in and just is a complete and utter asshole. And Russell Wilson looking like the good guy, bringing his stock back up. And now I think it's pretty sure that Russell Wilson is going to get cut by the Broncos in the offseason, which is going to be a shitload of money, dead cap money for the Broncos, by the way, because he has that huge contract still.
It'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously still not done. He still has some walk in the tank right now. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. So you got to imagine it's going to be a team that is pretty solid. It's just not set at QB. Do the Jets go after him with the fear that Rodgers might tear something again? I don't know. I feel like the Vikings are going to go back to Cousins.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know who he would fit.
There's not too many options out there. Like, would the
No,
Falcons go for him? I don't know. Maybe.
maybe. I mean, they're far enough down in the draft that they might not be in place for one of the top
Yeah.
quarterbacks unless they trade up. So you could see them go for him. Honestly, that'd be a pretty good move for them. They'd probably be pretty solid with Russ there.
Yeah. I don't know. There's
At
not too
least
many.
better than Ritter.
But the other thing I was going to say is Sean Payton. Do you think that with that news coming out, do you think there could be like an investigation into that? Like, is that
Yeah.
illegal? I feel like that's illegal. Like
Yeah,
in
I feel
NFL.
like there's definitely going to be an investigation into it. At the very least, no free agent's going to want to sign with Denver. Like no free agent's going to want to sign and say like, "Oh, I signed $100 million contract. Dope, awesome, 50 million guaranteed." And then 2 years down the road, your coach is saying, "All right, well, we're going to need you to adjust that contract, or we're going to cut you." And it's like, are you serious? Like,
Crazy,
yeah,
man. Sean Payton's
it's
lost
pretty
his
wild.
mind.
Yeah, and for the organization, so for Russ to know for 2 months that the organization was moving on from him, and then for them to send him out and say, "Go win us game, go get us to the playoffs," like the audacity. Like he was still playing hard,
Hmm.
but at that
And
point, it's just for his own pride and ego to in his prospects for next year. If he knows that they're moving on from him, like
yeah, and say what you
that's
will
just
about Russ,
wild.
but this is a probable Hall of Fame quarterback we're talking about
Yeah.
too. This isn't just like a guy off the street that came in to start games, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like you mentioned Joe Flacco potentially being in the Hall of Fame earlier. It's not like Joe Flacco. Like Russ is probably a for sure Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like there's I'd say there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, and
Yeah.
it's just wild for him to be like being treated the way he is.
Yeah, this isn't the first time we've seen Sean Payton do questionable things either. Back when he was the
No.
Saints coach, he was known for doing dumb shit. He got suspended for a whole year due to the defensive targeting
Yeah.
issues that were going on when the Saints defense knocked Brett Favre out of the playoffs or whatever it was for money. Like he's not a good
Literally
person.
giving his players bonuses if they took guys out of the game.
Yeah.
Like that's some like you remember Blitz the League?
Yeah.
Blitz, that was some Blitz the League type shit. And like you could literally do that in Blitz the League, if I'm not mistaken. Like you could say, like, if you were the coach of the team, you could say, injure this player and you're gonna get a bonus. And
That
like
was a
they
fun
would give you $1 million. But that game was fucking awesome. Like
game.
you could shoot up steroids in the locker room, you'd come out and just be balling your ass off. That game was
Breaking
so much
arms.
fun. So
And
much
then
fun.
that's the one where it
I
like
wish they
zoomed
could do
in on
that
their
with it.
bone, like snapping and stuff
Yes.
too, right? So
Yeah.
fun.
You could talk shit. You could start fights. Like that game was so much fun. There was also like a storyline outside of the gameplay. So like you could go to the club and like get in a fight at the club if you were like playing like a My Superstar type mode. And it was basically your journey of whether or not you're going to be like an enforcer and a fucking asshole in the league, or you're going to be a superstar diva.
What a great game. It's
It
better than
it was so
Madden.
much
Bring it back.
yeah, for sure. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Anyway, we talked about Peyton and Russ for enough. Let's move. College football playoffs. This is the big one, all right?
I will say one more thing I want to point out, not
Oh,
about
yeah, yeah.
Peyton and Russ or anything like that. This is while we're still on the topic of NFL, going before we go to college. You sent me this last week. The AFC, the quarterback carousel that is the AFC. There are only 5 quarterbacks playing right now that were starters at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's insane.
This was
That's
the
wild.
year of the quarterback injury.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
talked about it during the season. There was like a 5-week period where every week another starter was out for the season.
Yeah.
It was insane.
And like it was almost Lamar Jackson too when that he tripped over that ref. I saw like a conspiracy thing where it was like some stupid Instagram post where it was like the ref time travel and trip refs on purpose so that there would be 2 extra points because every time that a team plays the 49ers and the 49ers lose, the quarterback for that team that beat them gets injured for the season. So yeah, every loss that the 49ers have so far this year, the quarterback that they played has been injured for the season. And they've also coincidentally had 17 points in each of their losses. So that's why the conspiracy was, did that ref travel back in time to trip Russ so that it wasn't 17 points, but they got the safety and it was 2 points extra. So it was 19 instead of 17.
Crap. Mind blown.
Yeah. Mind blowing. Yeah.
I actually do have one more thing before we move to college football too. I forgot. I wanted to talk about coaches real quick, the hot seat, real quick. So we've been talking about the Patriots and Bill Belichick. I think there's a decent chance he's on his last last game,
Yeah.
but he does. So I guess he needs 15 wins to pass Don Shula as the most winningest coach in NFL history. And, he's also the GM of the Patriots, as we know. I think there is something to be said where he's brought the Patriots to so many winning seasons. I think there's a good chance he's actually going to be back, and they're going to give him like one more shot to get those wins. Did you see something?
He could get rough.
Ooh, I hadn't thought of that. I feel like they're up there though. Like they might have like the second or third pick, right?
They're up there, but he wants to get those 15 wins. Does a rookie B get you those? Could they sign Russ for one season and have whatever rookie QB they do get be Russ's backup for a year? Because say they don't get Caleb Williams or Drake May, say they get somebody else because they've tacked on a few wins here at the end of the year. So they might. I don't know. Quinn Ewers is going back. Maybe they get Michael Penix Jr. I don't know. I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to be a stud.
I can see Bo Nix to the Pats.
Yeah, you could see Bo Nix to the Pats. And if it's Bo Nix to the Pats, I'd say he's probably somebody that you're going to want to sit behind and learn a little bit.
Yeah.
So I could see that. I could see that. I could see that scenario, though. I could see Russ for a year and then Bo Nix behind him.
I could see that. I would love to see Russ in the Belichick system. I would love to see that. I think he could kill it.
Yeah. Because they still want to win. They don't want to just wait and build around a quarterback. So I could see that happen.
Yeah, I could too. With the coaching carousel, though, I'm kind of starting to think that most of the head coaches on the hot seat are going to stick around and be safe because they started winning at the end. Like Dennis Allen, the Saints head coach, I think he's safe now. Arthur Smith, the Falcons head coach, they're not great, but the owner pretty much said that he's safe for one more year.
Yeah, they'll probably give him another year.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus for the Bears has pretty much saved his job with Justin Fields. The only one
5, I think, since their terrible start.
Yeah, the only one that is clearly not safe is Commanders Ron Rivera. I still think he's for sure getting fired. But that would only leave 4 head coach jobs open with the Panthers, the Raiders, Panthers, and the Commanders.
And I got to think the Raiders. I kind of think they might stick with Pierce. I mean,
I think that's a good possibility.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows? We could see an opening there in Denver as well, depending how things shake out.
I was gonna mention that if there's like an investigation, he could be the next coach that the NFL, because the NFL's been cracking down on head coaches and owners even with not fucking around. So
speaking of cracking down on owners, did you see the Panthers owner?
I wanted to mention that.
Toss his drink.
About that.
Toss his drink on the
joke,
fans.
Man.
Yeah, it's a joke.
He's a complete joke. I don't think he's gonna be the Panthers owner for like very long. He's such a freaking
And like, how are you throwing a tantrum? Your team has 2 wins on the season. Did you not expect them to lose?
Yeah, and you fired all the coaching. Like, it's so stupid.
I'll touch on one that you probably aren't touching on. I don't think anything comes of it this year, but going into next season, I think Nick Sirianni will be on the hot seat for the Eagles.
Really? Because of the losing streak?
It looks like last year he was just riding his coordinators. So it looks more like the offense was powered by Shane Steichen than it was from Nick Sirianni. And you can see what he's doing with the Colts right now with Gardner Minshew as his QB. So in his first year at coach, Nick Sirianni, the team started out pretty poorly, and then they ended up making a wild card that year, but they made it because he turned over the play calling duties to Shane.
Ooh.
So he turned over the play calling to Shane, made the playoffs, and then last year Shane had the play calling the entire season. So last year they made the Super. Then this year there's no Shane Steichen there. The offense is struggling. They have a first-year coordinator in Brian Johnson, who has gotten a little bit better recently at his play calling, but at the end of the day, it looks like Nick Sirianni just relies on his coordinators, and he doesn't do that much himself.
Yeah, the D coordinator too, Gannon. I know you talked a lot of shit about him before, but
hey, I would give so much to have Gannon back. We could talk about this when we get to the Eagles game, but I would love to have Gannon back. I think the Eagles are going to move on and find a new defensive coordinator next year. You might see them find a new offensive coordinator as well. I personally would love to see Frank Reich come back and be the offensive coordinator. That way it kind of gives them, because he was the coordinator there when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And then
I think
if they choose to move on from Nick Sirianni, they could promote Frank Reich to head coach in that case.
I think they would have to coax Frank Reich back. From what I read when he got canned, it seems like he just wants to retire, but we'll see. Yeah. I mean, if the Eagles offered him a job, maybe he'd be like, you know what? I'll go chase a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they still have the personnel to do it. This is running really long. Let's get this going.
Yeah. We do want to hit the college football playoffs real quick too. So, listen, Michigan beats Alabama. I absolutely loved it. Bama fans are so annoying. They might be the most annoying fan base in college. They always think they deserve the world, and I hate them all. I hate you, Alabama fans. So I was so happy with Michigan. And then Washington beat your team, Texas, which I loved because I don't care about any SEC team. Texas is going to SEC. Fuck them. But yeah, Washington versus Michigan, that's what it should have been from the beginning. So I love it.
Yeah, both games were good. Alabama and Michigan went to overtime. Michigan rightfully won. And I thought Washington was going to win going into the game. I just thought they were a better team. Texas, I felt, makes too many mistakes on the year. They let too many teams back into games, and that's just what they did. They made too many mistakes in the game yesterday. I mean, Washington was the most penalized team in college football, and they had 2 penalties on them that game. And Texas had, I think, like 15. So they got too many mistakes. They had a butt fumble. But it came down to the final play of the game. It was good. It's what you want to see in a college playoff game.
Well, listen, notice both of the one-loss teams lost. I really think that this just proves that Alabama shouldn't have even been there in the first place. I don't care what anyone says about FSU. I know 63-3. Fuck y'all, man.
They
started one player.
3/4 of their team.
They started like one starter for the season. Yeah. And guess what? Georgia, they benched a lot of their guys too. But guess what? All the top high school players go to Georgia. So their backups are like 4-star, 5-star guys. FSU, their backups are high school players that will not be playing after college, probably. Like, there's a big difference between those two teams' backups. So, 63-3. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you looked at, like, 5-6 years ago, FSU would be in that position where they had all the big stars. But because Georgia is coming off 2 back-to-back championships, they're getting all those stars because they want to get the national championship. They want to get the notoriety. They want to get the headline in the SEC. So, like, they want the draft position. Like, people know that they're going to get drafted if they're a starter at Georgia. So they are getting all those players there. And right now, FSU's rebuilding their program kind of to a state where it's really good now. I mean, the last couple of years, they've been kind of trying to get to this point, and now they're here. But they probably should have been in the playoffs. They lost 63-3, but they benched, I think, 58 players sat and elected not to play.
Because it didn't mean anything.
It didn't mean anything. They can get a bowl win, but like FSU's got 1 million bowl wins. So, especially seniors, they don't want to get injured going into the draft or anything like that. So, but next year, 12 teams, that's gonna be fun.
Both FSU and Georgia would have made it, so no one would have been bitching. And I really think FSU should have played Washington. I don't care what anyone said. Yeah, Washington probably would have. Let's be honest, but I still think it could have been a good game. FSU has a great defense. Washington has a great offense. It would have been a battle. It would have been fun. Fuck y'all. Hate y'all.
Yeah, and I think Texas
versus Michigan could have been great too.
Texas has a good offense. Michigan has a great defense. Texas has an okay defense. They're good run defense, but it's interesting. Their pass defense, they allowed more passing yards in the first half against Washington than they had in any game this season, which is pretty crazy. And I think it speaks more to Michael Penix Jr. because if you watched that game, I said it to you, like his receivers a lot of times were covered. There was good coverage on them, and they weren't even looking for the ball. They were just sticking their hands out, and he was placing it just right in the breadbasket.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable the throws that he was making.
He may have cemented like his status as a first-round pick in that game.
Oh, for sure.
And it'll be fun to see
what he does against Michigan.
Defense. Yeah.
Should be a fun game. If he performs against Michigan, because he's got a quick release too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next video. The very last note I want to make, because we got to get into these games. Jim Harbaugh, I don't know if you saw, but he hired an NFL agent. So that's very telling, because I thought he might be going back to Michigan, but hiring an NFL agent, I feel like he's trying to make the leap back now at this point.
Washington, maybe?
Maybe. It'll be fun. Let's get into the game. Thursday night football, the Jets heading into Cleveland to take on the Brownies. Big game for the Browns. They needed this one to clinch the playoffs. And they pretty much dominated the Jets. It wasn't that great. They clinched the playoffs in a tumultuous season filled with injuries. I think that says a lot for Kevin Stefanski. And honestly, I think he should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year after the comeback and the playoff make that they had.
Yeah. Stefanski's got that team playing well. Joe Flacco, dude, coming out again, 300 plus yards against a really good pass defense. He's doing phenomenal. And it's always a different guy each game. I mean, he had Amari Cooper put up a historic game. This game, David
He didn't even
Njoku
play.
put up 130 plus yards. Like, he is just making guys show out. I will say in this game, one thing that was pretty scary was Elijah Moore when he got hurt, and he was making involuntary movements with his body. He was just laying like kind of you want to say motionless on the ground, and then his body was involuntary, like convulsing. That was kind of scary. He had like an instant brain injury, so he probably won't be playing the rest of the season.
You used to see those injuries like relatively frequently before they started doing all the head injury rules. So clearly that was a good thing for them to make that rule. But yeah, definitely scary. Elijah Moore was having a great game too, which is unfortunate for him. The Browns, I think they're going to be kind of a scary match in the playoffs. They're playing very good right now.
It really depends who they match up against with, but they are a scary matchup.
Yeah, and the Jets are stinky. So yeah, I even heard that the Jets coach could be on the hot seat. I doubt.
I don't know. I doubt Robert Saleh's gonna be in the hot seat. What's he supposed to do with the QB that he's given? So I mean, their defense has been pretty solid most of the year when they're not on the field the entire game. I want to see what he does with a real quarterback instead of just Zach Wilson for 2 fucking years.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Yeah,
they're gonna give him a shot with Rodgers for sure. I'd be shocked if they fired. Let's move to Saturday game. We had one Saturday game, and it was in Dallas. The Lions and the Cowboys. You, for some reason, picked the Cowboys in this one. It was disgusting. This was our game of the week, and you ended up winning it. It was a very important win for you, so I guess good for you. But this one.
But I should not have won it.
Yeah, exactly. This one came to a bullshit call, in my opinion, at the end of the game.
I don't think it's just your opinion. I think objectively, it's the wrong call. For those that did not watch the game or have not heard, going down to the wire, Lions scored a touchdown to Amon-Ra St. Brown. They went for the win over the Cowboys, and they secured it. They got the 2-point conversion. However, the ref called through a flag and said that the lineman did not report. But if you look at the replay, both offensive tackles go and report to the ref, stand there and speak to him. There's definitive proof that both linemen talked to him. And he said, oh, no, the one that didn't catch the ball is the one that reported to me. There's some collusion in the works in Dallas. Jerry World wanted to improve its undefeated record at home, like 19-0 or something, and they wanted to secure the division. So the refs were for sure paid off.
Dude, and this was a huge game for the freaking Cowboys too, man. Because I mean, we'll get to the Eagles later, but the Cowboys now most likely are going to have home field advantage for most of the playoffs because they're probably going to have the number 2 seed, and that is absolutely crazy. That's huge for them because they're way better at home.
Shit.
Yeah, I agree. The Lions though going for the 2 points instead of going for overtime is kind of legendary. I love Dan Campbell so much.
I think that they after it was overturned, I think they should have gone for the field goal instead. But and
then there was a penalty, and they still went for 2.
After the penalty, I think they probably should have just gone for 1 at that point. But hey, Dan Campbell does not care. So
I love him. CeeDee Lamb, of course, was nasty again. We talked about how nasty he is already.
Fuck CeeDee Lamb.
He broke Michael Irvin's franchise receiving yards and receptions in a season. Yeah, so he's freaking nasty. And the only other thing I want to say, Jameson Williams is very fast. I don't know if you saw his big catch. He is very fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move to the big Sunday game, one of the big Sunday games in Baltimore, the Dolphins and the Ravens. I thought this was going to be a lot closer. The Ravens won this 56-19, and they are like clear Super Bowl favorites at this point, I would say. That they took out the 49ers and the Dolphins in relative ease 2 weeks in a row. That's insane.
Yeah, and I think at this point there is zero chance that Lamar Jackson does not get MVP. If Lamar Jackson does not get MVP, what the fuck is wrong with the NFL? Because, I mean, what he's doing right now, he scored 5 TDs in this game, 321 yards. His supporting cast isn't very good in terms of receivers. He lost his best option to Mark Andrews. They're on like They've had running back carousel all season with injuries. They're losing players left and right on defense and offense. Like, he's just willing them to victories every single week, and he's performing out of his mind.
Do you think Mark Andrews will be back for the divisional round? I think he could be, right?
That'd be interesting. That'd be exciting. If Mark Andrews is back, run a little 2 tight end set there with him and Likely.
Yeah.
That's scary.
But yeah, I agree with you. Lamar Jackson is like the clear MVP at this point. I think this might be the best passing game I've ever seen from Lamar. He
only had 21 passes,
which is crazy, but he was like just making all the right reads, perfect passes. He showed off his arm, and like anyone that says he's just a running back at this point is clearly like an idiot, because he's a really good quarterback.
Yeah, and when he first started out, you could kind of see like he relied on his legs a lot.
For sure.
And he still does rely on his legs a bit, but now he's doing it to more so create plays and extend plays for his receivers instead of just taking off on his own, which I love to see it. His field vision has improved so much. You can see how much he's improved as a quarterback.
Yeah, I think Lamar is the perfect blueprint for Justin Fields' career.
Not just Justin Fields, perfect blueprint for any of those QBs, for Fields, for Hurts. I mean, outside of the tush push, they're pretty similar, but for Fields, for Hurts, for any guy coming out that is just a speed threat, and their arm is questionable, he's the blueprint for it. Even Bryce Young. I mean, he's not as fast. He doesn't have as good of an arm, but he's the blueprint for that too. So
and for Anthony Richardson, that's a good one. For the Dolphins though, this was a disaster game. Like, first of all, they got embarrassed. They got destroyed. Waddle and Mostert missed this game, so maybe that was part of the reason. But besides all of that, they lose Bradley Chubb, their star edge rusher, to an ACL injury. Done for the year, possibly for the beginning of probably I would say for the beginning of next year. And he was a huge part of their defense that was already seen as not like an up to par with the rest of the playoff field defense.
Yeah.
So that's tough. That's going to be a huge loss for the playoffs. We'll see what happens with the Bills next week for them, if that's going to really affect them. But I think it will. I really think it will.
I think it will, and we'll get into it. But we have some opinions on that game and how that'll go.
Yeah. One last stat. Most games with a perfect passer rating in NFL history. Lamar Jackson is now tied with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Kurt Warner, and Ben Roethlisberger.
That is like the most surprising stat I think you've possibly given this season so far. I would have, if you told me to guess, to just name, what was it, 5 guys there?
Yeah.
If you told me to name the 5th of that quarterback group in terms of perfect QB rating, I would never have guessed Lamar Jackson. Never in a million years. Like,
quite the group to be with. Yeah, he's making his Hall of Fame case for sure. We've talked about this enough, though. Let's move to Buffalo, the Patriots, and the Bills. Actually, a close game. I thought the Pats were going to get smacked here. The Bills end up winning 27-21, but both offenses were horrible in this game. Absolute shit.
Yeah.
It makes me
the
very
Bills
nervous.
Forced 4 turnovers. It's another case of Josh Allen constantly playing down or up to his competition. So, I mean, fortunately for him in the playoffs, it's all good teams, but he plays down to his competition because that offense had been looking good. And for him to just have 169 yards in this game and 50% completion percentage, not even a touchdown, it's insane. It's a very interesting situation. And I don't know what the hell he goes through his mind and why he does these things to himself, but I don't know.
He's always keeping Bills fans on the edge of their seats, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's making them sweat. He wants to see it. He wants the storylines. He wants people to question him, but
Bills defense won this game. Rasul Douglas had a great game. Pass turnovers were horrible. But the Bills, this is becoming very dangerous for them because next week, I mean, we'll just talk about it next week, actually. They have a very dangerous game next week, though. Let's move to Chicago, the Windy City. The Falcons and the Bears went off, and this was our poop game of the week. But it was kind of a poop game. You picked the Falcons, and they got like kind of demolished by the Bears.
They did. Taylor Heineke, 3 interceptions. They were all fucking terrible interceptions too. They weren't even like the defense made a good play. They were bad.
They need like a better quarterback coach or something. I don't even know what's happening.
They need a better QB coach because I mean Heineke looked fine last year with Washington.
Yeah.
And now he looks like absolute dick here.
Like he shouldn't be in the league.
Right. I mean, Tyson Bagent looked better than him.
Literally.
But like, I don't know, Justin Fields is definitely improving as a passer this year, and he's learning as well not to just take off with his legs every chance he gets. So I think it's an important step for those players to be able to learn that, understand that, and it's crazy that the leading receiver for the Falcons was Algier off of one play.
It's pretty bad. Ritter
Yeah.
even came in and like immediately threw an interception. They're just
Yeah.
terrible. Clearly need a new coach or
Russ.
quarterback, I mean.
New quarterback coach, and they need Russ.
Yeah, go get Russ. I really think they might get Tannehill if the coach sticks around, and that's like a mistake in the waiting. That is a mistake waiting to happen. But
how is he going to be better?
He won't. He might do better than these two, but like not by a lot.
Art Smith is just going to try to replicate what was in Tennessee when he was there, and
literally, I think that's what he is.
Yeah.
Bijan is Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, if he uses him like Derrick Henry, I'm fine with it. So
yeah, for the Bears, DJ Moore definitely a keeper. He's got a 1,000-yard season under his belt now, which is surprising. I didn't see that coming from this team.
That's essentially the only person that Fields throws to. So
yeah, Justin Fields is kind of trying to save his career with the Bears right now because they have the first overall pick locked in now, and they're going to take a very hard look at both Caleb Williams and Drake May. So Justin Fields. Yeah, I mean, he's balling. He's doing his job, his part, and keeping the job. But I have no idea at this point if they're going to keep him.
I actually saw a hypothetical trade here in like one of the communities I was in where it was the Falcons actually trade their first round pick. I think more than a first round pick, a couple picks for Justin Fields. And then the Falcons pick either Drake May or Caleb Williams and then choose somebody with their pick as well. And they have the Falcons pick. So they have 3 first round picks in that scenario. The Falcons get Justin Fields and move forward.
Falcons get Justin Fields and a first-round quarterback?
No. They give up their first-round pick to the Bears, and the Bears would have then 3 first-round picks.
Oh, I see.
Pick. And then the Falcons just have a potential franchise QB in Fields, and then the Bears go a different direction with either Drake May or Caleb Williams.
Is Fields worth a first-round pick right now? He might be.
Probably.
Quarterbacks
are very young. He's very young. You got to imagine the first rounder, especially since the Falcons are mid-first.
I don't think that'd be a bad move for the Falcons. Fields could be very exciting for that offense.
I think it would work. I mean, it'd be kind of like Vic again back in Atlanta.
Ooh, Vic 2.0. Let's get it. Let's do it, Falcon. I'd pick him over Russ for the Falcons. I like Russ to the Patriots, what you said earlier. I love that idea. Although I do like Drake May as a Patriot too. But anyway, let's move to Houston, the Titans and the Texans. Huge game for the Texans as they're trying to make the playoffs. And they did their part here. CJ Stroud came back in and showed why he should be in the playoffs. They just, I don't know if destroy. Yeah, I'm going to say they destroyed the Titans. They didn't. The Titans had no shot. Yeah,
the thing is they were up 20-3 at halftime, and really they were up 20-0 because the 3 points that the Titans got were with time expiring in the first half. So they had command of this game early, and they just took the gas off the pedal in the second half. Nico Collins wasn't even targeted, which made me sweat in fantasy because I had him in the championship. But CJ Stroud took it off the gas a little bit. They just mostly ran the ball a lot in the second half. So, I mean, they should be a playoff team, rightfully so. CJ Stroud is a great quarterback, and I'd love to see the Texans win their division.
Yeah, they got a fun week next week. We'll talk about that later. But, yeah, their defense is nasty in this game, too. Will Anderson had 2 sacks, and that gave him the Texans' rookie record with 7 sacks, and he's proven to be a really good first-round pick. They killed it with Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud as the top picks. They absolutely killed it.
Crushed it.
Did you say question or for sure?
Crushed it.
Crushed it. Oh, neither of those things. Okay. Yeah, hopefully we see him for the Titans. Their offense couldn't do anything. Will Levis got hurt again. He's probably not going to play next week. And Tannehill, once again, shows that he's got nothing. Let's move to Indianapolis. The Raiders and the Colts put on a bit of a show in this one. You picked the Colts to win. I picked the Raiders. You got the win. They won 23-20. Raiders didn't have Jacobs. Colts, I think Zach Moss didn't play, but they had Jonathan Taylor, and he had a big game. He was part of the reason for sure that the Colts won this. He got going, and the Colts are 1 win away from making the playoffs now with Gardner Minshew at the helm.
With Gardner Minshew at the helm and 1 more win, they're a 10-win team.
That's crazy. Shane Steichen.
That's wild. Yeah, like I said, you could see that he was the reasoning behind the Philly offense the last 2 years. So huge, like he's a mad genius back there with his play calls. Like if you look at him too, he looks kind of like unhinged. So
yeah, he really does. The Raiders, they fought hard for Antonio Pierce, but they do get eliminated with this loss. I think they were pretty much going to get eliminated anyway, but
yeah.
I realize now I didn't go over the eliminated teams from the playoffs, I don't think. 4 teams got eliminated. I'm going to hit them real quick. The Raiders, the Bengals get eliminated, the Broncos got eliminated, and the Bears, of course, got eliminated. Let's move to Jacksonville. Our any given Sunday game of the week it was not an any given Sunday game. The Panthers taking on the Jags. Panthers could not do shit. Jaguars won 26-0, and it was a complete and utter domination all the way. 6 sacks on Bryce Young as he got just crushed all day long. He was having a rough go of it. He was just trying to stay alive. Josh Allen for the Jags had 3 sacks on his own, sets the Jaguars record with 16.5 sacks. Trevor Lawrence, first ever missed game. CJ Beathard was in this one getting the win. He didn't look all that great, but he didn't look bad. He kept him alive in an easy win. So yeah.
It was an easy win for the Jags. They didn't perform incredibly well, but they didn't have to against the lowly Panthers. But one thing I'll bring up in this game that like doesn't really matter at all. Tank Bigsby, his name is no longer Tank Bigsby in ESPN or NFL. It's listed as Cartavius. So I'm guessing that was his first name and Tank was just the nickname that he had, but he now is choosing to go by Cartavius.
That's a wild name for one.
Tank is certainly cooler.
I liked Tank, yeah.
And
that's interesting.
For a running back too. A running back named Tank, like it fits.
Yeah, for sure. Cartavius, though, like I feel like that's a really good one too.
He's just got 2 good names.
He's got 2 good names.
Cartavius Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, keep them both, dude. Why not? That's great.
Yeah. Better than
CPN was doing work though. The running back for the Jags.
Yeah, he always does work. He's a good RB.
Yeah, he is.
His whole problem is staying healthy.
Fuck stick that drafted him didn't know how to do anything though. But anyway, that's plenty from that game. Let's move to MetLife Stadium. The Rams and the Giants. Listen, we both thought the Rams were kind of going to dominate this game, but this came down to the wire. This was a really fun game. I think this was actually the first game all season that actually got me to jump up off the couch and like start yelling, which I don't do. Wow. I'm a pretty passive like football watcher, and this one got insane. The Rams pulled it off. They won 26-25 in a much needed win to clinch the playoffs. The Giants, though, their defense was causing havoc for Stafford all day. He threw 2 pretty bad picks. Tyrod Taylor getting the start for the Giants looked better than anything the Giants have had all season, in my opinion, which is sad.
300-yard game.
Yeah, and he was slinging it too. Like he was taking shots downfield, which is the Giants were sorely missing for the past like 5 fucking years.
Yeah, I mean he hit Wandale on a big catch.
It was Darius Slate.
Okay.
He hit Wandale on a big catch too, though. We're probably just talking about different ones. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, but the Giants, they missed a field goal and a 2-point attempt that could have easily won them this game. And the play that I was out of my seat yelling was when Gunnar Oslewski, I don't know, some Romanian name or something. But he was returning the punt for a touchdown, and it was the craziest play because he catches the ball, he runs through people, and he gets hit, and it looks like he's down, and then he like just spins off and just takes off down the sideline, and I jumped out of my seat. I was like, oh, he's covered. It's like, oh my god, it was like the most fun Giants game I think I've seen in forever, man. It was great.
Yeah, it'll be interesting next week when my Birds play your Giants because Tyrod's playing well right now. So
yeah, he is. And the Eagles are not playing.
He played well in the second half against the Eagles too. So it should be interesting. But I will say in this game, Tyron Williams again, dude, 3 TDs, 87 yards, like. That dude's here to stay. He is good.
Yes, sir.
And the one thing I have a question. Puka Nacua. So it seems like every week he's the top option. Is he phasing Cooper Kupp out of the top option in LA? And is it now Puka?
I don't know, man. Coop is getting up there. He's in his 30s, right? I maybe
every week Puka is getting the targets. He's getting the yards. He's Stafford's favorite target when it's crunch time. Like outside of like a couple big plays where Cooper Kupp was like left wide open. most of his production just isn't there because he's not getting the volume that he always got before. And now it's going to Puka.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Just a few years after Cooper Kupp was he the MVP in the Super Bowl or close to it if he didn't get it?
I think Stafford was the MVP.
Insane. Yeah. That's
They
crazy.
usually give it to the quarterback.
I could see it though, because Puka is absolutely nasty. He was a great find. I got a stat for you for Puka, actually. I don't know if you saw it yet, but Puka Nacua next week, he only needs 29 yards and 4 receptions to break 2 NFL rookie records. 29 yards, that's easy. 4 catches, easy. I think he's breaking both of them next week.
For rookie receptions and rookie yards?
And rookie receiving yards, yeah. I didn't write down who holds them right now. But
I think receptions is Waddle.
I think you're right. I do remember seeing Waddle's name when I was looking at
I think it's Waddle. I know Anquan Bolden was up there, but I think it's Waddle.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Puka Nacua is breaking them both next week. They do have the 49ers, so maybe it could be difficult.
Let me look right here. Yeah, it is Jalen Waddle. Wild. So the 5th spot is not even a receiver.
It's a tight end.
Most receptions as a rookie. It's a running back.
A running back. Wow.
And you should know this one.
Is it Saquon?
It's Saquon. Saquon has the 5th most receptions as a rookie, and he's a running back. He had 91 receptions in 2018.
Yeah, before he got all those injuries.
Sad. The exact same amount as Odell Beckham in his rookie year.
He had a great rookie year too. He broke in real quick. But yeah, fun stuff, man.
Fun stuff.
I do. We can move to the next. I do have quick trivia for you on this too. I know we're pushing the time real far right now, but I like this trivia, so I'm going to ask it anyway. So Tyrod Taylor, right? He had an 80-yard pass to Darius Slayton in this game. 55 of those yards were through the air, like air yards. That is the longest throw for the Giants since last week when Tyrod Taylor had a big throw to Darius Slayton last. Before that, what do you think the Giants' longest throw was? Like, what year do you think the Giants' longest throw was before last week and this week from Tyrod Taylor? Not from Tyrod Taylor, like just for the Giants.
2020.
Close. It was 2018. Eli Manning's last year with the Giants. So basically, this is telling me that Daniel Jones has a goddamn noodle arm or is afraid to throw down the field. Let's get him out of there. Giants need a new quarterback.
That's the thing. Like, all of your receivers are speed threats.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you not stretching the field to them?
And Tyrod Taylor is finally breaking them out. Like, what the? It's so sad. Like, give me somebody that can throw the damn ball. All right, yeah, we got to move. Let's move to Philly. The Cardinals and the Eagles. Horrible game for Philly.
Yeah, Philly. It was a rough game. I mean, the offense still did its part. The offense put up, I think, 24 points. Then we had a pick 6. But the offense looked okay until they got to a situation where their offensive coordinator made like the "what the fuck are you doing" calls again. So Eagles are winning. It's like 4 minutes left in the game. And he decides on their own side of the field that he's going to run 2 quarterback draws and a bubble screen to Kenneth Gainwell.
Wow.
Also, for adding injury to that is, on that play, he had Devonta Smith, all like 170 pounds wet of him, blocking for Kenneth Gainwell on the bubble screen, and he got hurt. So, it was
not good.
We lost to the Arizona Cardinals. We gave up 450 yards to the Arizona Cardinals. They had 3 wins on the season.
Not great. Yeah, I think this was the biggest upset, clearly, of the week, but it might have been the biggest upset of the whole year. To be honest, I think it was. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier, I think Nick Sirianni is on the hot seat, and I think that this game puts him on the hot seat going in the next season. He's going to go in the next season as the head coach. There's no way he's not. I mean, he has the Eagles at 2 10-plus win seasons. He has the Eagles in the playoffs 3 years in a row. But they did cut ties with Doug Peterson after he won us our Super Bowl. So Lurie is not afraid to cut somebody if he feels like they're going in the wrong direction. So I think going the next season, Nick Sirianni will be on the hot seat. I have no confidence in the Eagles right now going to the playoffs. Granted, they could get really hot.
Yeah,
they could. But I just don't have confidence for them going into the playoffs, being on the road. If they were at home, sure, I would think, yeah, they can steal a couple wins, but they'd probably still end up losing to the 49ers. But now that they're going to be on the road, likely as a wild card, unless Dallas for some reason loses to the Commanders, I don't have any faith in them in the postseason.
Yeah,
most of the defense. I don't have faith in the defense.
I mean, they just got dropped 35 on by the Cardinals. Yeah. This was Nick Sirianni playing against his former coordinator, too, Jonathan Gannon, getting the best of him.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. I will
And
say,
I feel like Gannon was playing mind games with Sirianni when he kicked an onside kick with like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. 5 minutes left in the game, kicked an onside kick. And that's when the offense ran those plays I just mentioned with the 2 QB draws and the bubble screen. I feel like he was playing games with them and like, oh, I know how you work. I know what you're gonna do. Like, I'm gonna do this for you, and then you're gonna look like a fucking idiot. So, I like to lose to pew pew pew. Like, come on, man.
It was fun seeing Julio Jones get a couple of touchdowns.
It was fun. It was fun. He looked pretty good. And honestly, like Julio Jones doing something going to the playoffs, like they still have like him becoming an option in the offense. I still have confidence that the offense can score on teams in the playoffs. The offense can do something.
When he caught the first touchdown, I literally didn't know who it was. I forgot Julio Jones was on the team. I was like, who is this tight end Jones?
He's big, dude.
He's huge.
He's huge. He's bigger, definitely bigger than he was when he played.
I would
before.
say so.
Like he's definitely packed on some size since he was in the league last, and like he looks like a tight end out there. He's a large man, but
they should be thrown to him all the time in the fucking red zone, man.
Seriously, like he's got wide receiver skill set, but he's as big as a tight end now. Like throw to him every time down there. Like you have him and AJ Brown. You have AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, and now a massive Julio Jones that's built like fucking Megatron right now. So like. Throw to them in the red zone. Like, what are you doing?
They should be scoring every time they get into the red zone.
Yeah. Plus, you got the tush push.
Plus the tush push. Sidney Brown had a fun pick 6, 99 yards. I saw that happen live, and I was like, he has the long hair too. I didn't realize. I didn't even know who he was.
Sidney Brown's sweet. He's a rookie.
He's a rookie. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if they traded for him because he looks like a player that used to be on the Bills. I don't remember. I don't know who I'm talking about, but that's what I
the
thought.
Bills always seem to find guys, but no, he's a rookie out of Illinois. I think he was a 5th round pick. But he's good. I like him. He's a hard hitter. He can lay the hit stick, which is fun to watch. So I like seeing that in a safety. Being a Brian Dawkins guy my whole life, I love seeing guys that can lay the hit stick. So
is that why you're an Eagles fan?
It's part of it, dude. Brian, like just the tenacity that the Eagles had with like Lito Shepherd, Brian Dawkins, like that. Those teams were so much fun.
Yeah, true. Brian Dawkins was nuts. He was a nutcase. One last thing I want about this game: Devontae Smith was on crutches, wearing a boot after the game. They did say that it was like a medium sprain or something. So I imagine
he'll probably stay against the Giants.
Yeah, I would say so. I would think so too. They should. I mean, they're going into the playoffs. They don't want to risk.
They go into the playoffs, and it's very unlikely that they would get not a wild card. So they should sit him. And the way Julio Jones looked this week, they could potentially not even need Devonta Smith. So
true.
At least
you got anything else for this game, man?
I don't. Other than just I don't have confidence in the Eagles.
Yeah. All right, let's move to Tampa Bay, the Saints and the Buccaneers. I thought the Bucs were going to steamroll, man. I really did. They looked bad in this game. The Saints took it 23-13. The Bucs fucked up letting the Saints stay alive, man. They could have ended them. And they could have clinched the division if they won. Now, I mean,
and the final score does not show what the game actually was. The Saints dominated this game.
Yeah, they did.
The Saints dominated this game. It took 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter for the Buccaneers to really do much. The Saints looked like the better team this game, which is crazy because they've been so off and on every single week. But
I think this win really saved Dennis Allen's job, because I think before this, if they got manhandled by the Bucs, I think Dennis Allen would have got canned. But now it's like, oh, well, maybe we can trust them. The Saints defense, though, that's the whole reason they won. Their defense was absolutely handling the Buccaneers offense. And Baker Mayfield couldn't get anything moving. He was getting hit all day. The O-line was getting annihilated. It was bad.
And I played Kevin in our championship this week, and he had Rashad White. And for at least the first half of that game, he had 0 points. So, like,
didn't do anything.
Yeah. It was the Saints defense came to play on the road. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the offseason. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this division and who's actually going to win it. But I still think that's going to be the only team that makes the playoffs from this division.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what happens this offseason with Godwin and Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is either going to do one of two things. I think he's either going to stay in Tampa or he's going to the Chiefs.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. For the Saints, Juwan Johnson, after being like nowhere all year, finally goes off for the Saints. He looked really good in this game. They should have clearly been throwing to him all year. And Alvin Kamara got hurt again, which leaves the situation murky for the Saints. Yeah, Alvin Kamara really lost me the number 3 spot in the playoffs, but it didn't matter that much anyway, whatever. Yeah, I think he could be on his way out. I don't know what his contract is like for the Saints, but he's starting to look like an old running back in, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. I traded their rookie running back in Dynasty. So
yeah, the Bucs I think still are going to make the playoffs. They got the Panthers next week, so barring a loss to the worst team in the league, they'll be in the playoffs. So yeah, let's move to DC, the capital, the 49ers and the Commanders. This went how we thought it would, basically. The 49ers won 27-10. Purdy had a good comeback game, setting 49ers records. 4,280 yards is a new record for the 49ers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Surprising. Brock Purdy in his first year as the main starter takes out all of their legendary quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
This game was actually really close in the first half. It was 13-10 at halftime. So I know some fans were sweating, definitely. But second half, 49ers did what people thought they were going to do, and they took the win. One thing to note is CMC did get injured in this game.
Calf injury.
They said it's not that much, but it's enough to where they're sitting him next week. I mean, they secured the number 1 spot, but they said they were sitting him before they even secured the spot. So if they were sitting him before they even knew the outcome of the Eagles game,
not great.
That's not a good sign.
He will get 2 weeks to rest, so that is very helpful. And let's hope that he's back healthy because he's a huge part of this offense. But to be fair,
I don't hope he's back healthy. I hope the 49ers lose.
To be fair, the backup running back Eli Mitchell looked damn good in this game when he got his shot. So
he was really good as a starter before CMC came. So it's just that offense. The running backs are always solid.
And Commanders are poop. Sam Howell threw a lot of bad picks. He's apparently doesn't want to be a starting quarterback anymore. I don't know. Let's move to Seattle, the Steelers and the Seahawks. This game was a little surprising to me. Kenny Pickett didn't get the start. Apparently Mason Rudolph is now starting over Kenny Pickett, so that's pretty interesting. But the Steelers,
I think they said that if Kenny Pickett is good to go this week, they're still going to go with Rudolph.
Yep, which makes sense because he looked really good in this game. The Steelers, they won 30-23, and Mason Rudolph is, like, in my opinion, clearly better for this offense than Pickett has been all year. George Pickens
had a very good game. Deontay Johnson had a good game. He's using the 2 receivers. Like with Pickett, it was one or the other. But he's using both of them, which can't believe we're seeing that Mason Rudolph is getting the most out of this offense. But hey, it's a weird year. It is what it is. But
do you think this means that there's going to be a quarterback controversy between the two next year? Rudolph versus Pickett?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't think that it'll be a QB controversy. I think Rudolph has secured the primary backup role, but they'll probably still go with Pickett. They used a high pick on Pickett. They have more invested in him. Yeah. They're going to use him.
I agree that Rudolph would be the backup. I could see them bringing in another quarterback to compete with Pickett, though. Possibly. Definitely getting rid of Trubisky, I'll tell you that much.
Definitely getting rid of Trubisky, but they could draft a QB in like the 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, I could see that. Anyway, the Steelers and Tomlin still don't have a losing season. 17 years now with a winning record, even though Steelers fans like to talk shit about him. He's clearly a good coach. Sure, they've only won 1 Super Bowl, but hell, what team has won multiple Super Bowls in that span?
The Patriots and the Chiefs?
Other than the Patriots. And the Chiefs. There you go. I think that might be it. Fuck me, the Giants. I forget. 17 seasons is a long time, so the Giants.
No, I mean Najee Harris has been coming on at the end of the year tier 2, so 122 yards and a TD for him this game. He looked pretty solid. They're finally look like a decent team right now.
They're finally getting going, and I think they have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs now, too. Because, listen, if the Bills lose to the Dolphins, all the Steelers have to do is win, and they're in, which might be a tough win. We'll get to that next week. But, It'll be fun. The Seahawks, they screw themselves. They really needed to win this game, and now it looks like they have a very good chance at missing the playoffs because they lose to the Steelers here. So,
Yeah.
and this was with the 12th man in attendance. So I don't know their mistakes. They really just lost them the game here. It was bad.
Gino didn't have a great game. He had a couple turnovers and he had some poor decisions.
Yeah. These are the 4 p.m. games that we're finally getting into, by the way. So we got to move. So let's move to Denver, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Who gives a fuck about this game?
We'll
the Broncos
gloss over this
win.
real quick. Broncos won, and that's really all that needs to be said because the Chargers suck.
Bing, bang, boom. Khalil Mack got a 16th sack, career high. Now has 101.5 career sacks. Boom, bang, boom. Let's move to Kansas City, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. The Chiefs win 25-17, but they don't look good doing it. Harrison Butker wins them the game, basically. The defense is okay. Rashee Rice and Pacheco are the only ones moving the ball. Bengals get eliminated. See ya next year.
Yeah, not too much to talk about here. Patrick Mahomes, mediocre game. 245 yards, 1 TD. Most of his yards to Rashee Rice. Travis Kelce, really bad game. You could see retirement for him at the end of the season. Go off into the sunset with Taylor Swift and have some little athlete babies. But Jake Browning did not look good. Proves that he is what we thought he was. He's a backup quarterback. Joe Burrow is the saving grace for the Bengals, and the Bengals got eliminated this week.
Do you think Travis Kelce will make a retirement video with like holding Taylor Swift's hands and literally walking into the sunset?
I hope so. I hope that'd be so funny.
And then like at the end, you see Jason Kelce like trying to catch up as he also is retiring.
I hope not. I hope Jason comes back.
I think he's retiring, man.
And he's still performing at a very high level too. I don't know. He could do what Fletcher Cox did, where he just took like year by year by year by year for like the last 5 years of his career. But it's tough. It could go either way, I think.
Yeah.
It really depends what happens for the Eagles in the playoffs because he wants another Super Bowl. But
True. Let's move to Minnesota. Sunday Night Football, the Packers and the Vikings. The Vikings made a terrible mistake starting Jared Hall over Nick Mullins, in my humble opinion, because he looked horrible. And Nick Mullins replaced him late in the third quarter, I believe, and was clearly an upgrade, threw a touchdown. But it was way too late, and the Packers took it 33-10. You picked the Packers. I thought about switching to the Packers after they said Jared Hall was starting. I didn't, and clearly I should have. That was a mistake on my part. But Jordan Love, good game. He was thrown to like a bunch of nobodies after Jaden Reed went down too.
Yeah, Jaden Reed is phenomenal, but he seems to be very injury prone. He's very small, but he is very good. Jordan Love, though, his stats are like completely on par with the first season for Aaron Rodgers. So I think it's safe to say that the Packers have another franchise quarterback.
Wasn't Aaron Rodgers' stats like almost identical to Brett Favre's when he was young too?
I think so. Like the yardage through 17 games is like within like it's less than 100 yards different.
I'm starting to think that the Packers are like performing blood sacrifice rituals to like Satan or something to get
possible
to get these quarterbacks, because it doesn't make sense. What other team has this kind of luck with quarterback?
Yeah, and
like
it's not
identical
like it's the same
too.
Coach or anything like that either, and they're putting up the exact same stats, like same TD to interception ratios, same amount of yards, like the same amount of wins even for the team. So like I don't know, it's pretty crazy. And I know our buddy Mike was trashing on Jordan Love, saying he doesn't think that he's going to be the future, but I think he might be wrong.
That's the same thing that people were saying when Aaron Rodgers got his first season as a starter, though, too, because he was looking kind of bad for a while before he turned it around. So basically what I'm getting out of this is that Jordan Love is going to be the Packers quarterback for the next like 17 years. He's going to win one Super Bowl in that time, maybe versus the Steelers. I don't know. But and then they're going to draft another first round quarterback as Jordan Love approaches his old 30s when they should be drafting a receiver. They still won't draft any receivers in the first round the entire time.
Jack.
What?
They're going to draft Jack.
But I mean, hey, I'd be rooting for him. So anyone that the Packers draft is going to turn into a legend and a Hall of Famer that wins one Super Bowl. So
Yeah, just imagine it. Little baby Jack, future. He's like 20 years old. He's got like a mullet flowing out the back of his helmet. Like got that
I'd be a
flow.
Packers fan.
Yeah, got
I
my
couldn't
mustache.
I couldn't imagine you in a Packers jersey, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Basically, we can also guarantee that Jordan Love will be playing for the Jets at age 37 as well.
That's pretty crazy.
Will Aaron Rodgers be traded to the Vikings in the offseason? That's another thing to think about.
Another one, yeah.
But yeah, anyway, this wraps it up. Yeah.
That's a wrap on another episode. And again, like always, best way to support our show is leaving a rating or review on all platforms you listen on. And of course, by liking the show. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube at Flea Flicker Show. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, follow us on all social media at Flea Flicker Show. Thank you, Flea Flicker Nation, for tuning in.
Until next time, peace.
Peace.